Welcome to our monthly Unlock the Power of Your MYOB Acumatica session. Today's theme is all about how do we get paid faster in MYOB Acumatica using the fellows at PencilPay. So this is a really good session. So hopefully you get a lot out of it. As always, I try and encourage everyone to be engaging and ask questions. In regards to the presentation today, we should probably take around about 45 minutes or so. So if you do have any questions or queries throughout the session, you're more than welcome to chuck them up in the chat, or there is a Q&A box. Or if you think something's really good, please react to that. You will also see that there is a poll that has been posted up there. So as I go through the next few slides, if you don't mind just answering those poll questions, and then when we get to that sort of interactive stage, we'll go through those. But let's kick on. So for anyone that is new to the sessions, that we host these sessions on a monthly basis, and if you want to go back and have a look at any of the past webinars that we have hosted, please go over to the AlphaBiz website, and you can go and check out all the past webinars. There's some really useful sessions that we've done in the past as well, and these sessions are designed to sometimes deep dive into MYOB Acumatica and look at how we can get more out of the system. Sometimes that might be, it could be a new module, but it might also be trying to help you get more out of more value out of the system that you already paid for. Today, and as I say, some of these sessions we do host with our independent software vendors, and PencilPay Pencil is an independent software vendor that integrates tightly with MYOB Acumatica, and throughout the session today, you will, the discussions we'll have is how well Pencil does integrate with MYOB Acumatica. So today I'm your host as normal, but we've got Greg and Tim, both from PencilPay, the founders of PencilPay. So welcome to those guys. I did have an opportunity while I was over at the MYOB Acumatica Partner Conference last week to spend a bit of time with them, and they've also recently been over to Perth and spent a bit of time with our team as well, just in educating the consultants on how PencilPay works and how it tightly integrates. So it's timely that we are meeting with these guys and doing an Acumatica session today. So let's get interactive. So I'm just going to go through some of these questions in a second, but I guess the whole thing about today is how do we get paid faster? How do we recover the money that that's outstanding from our clients and all that sort of stuff, and get paid faster ourselves. So like some of you may know, I used to manage a manufacturing company, and we used to have a gun lady when it came to the accounts receivable side of things. I used to be out on the floor in the office, and I'd often hear her talking to our clients like they're her best friends. Asking about their holidays, their pets, their family, and all that sort of stuff, and had a really good relationship with our clients, and was able to then ask the tricky question of, when are you going to pay your invoice? So that was really good for my business, that I had this lady in there helping me with that accounts receivable. But as we know, sometimes a lot of the accounts receivable work, it's just by email follow-ups and not really touching base. This session today is all about how we can automate a lot of those processes. So one of the first poll questions we asked is how much time does your team spend chasing overdue invoices each week? And so we'll go through those in a sec. I've got to find where the poll is. So so how much time does your team spend? Most 57% said 1 to 2 hours per week chasing their overdue invoices. Some were like 5 hours, and sort of, we don't track it, but it feels like. So one of the other highest responses, we don't track it, but it feels like a lot. Okay, so maybe you haven't put a gauge on how much time it actually takes, but it is one of those things. It's what's the biggest challenge when following up overdue invoices? The biggest response was finding the time. So obviously, you may not be spending that 1 or 2 hours per week, but the highest response is, finding that time. So let's look at, today's session is all about how do we automate that process. How confident are you in your real-time data visibility in Acumatica? Most people, 50% of people said it was mostly confident, and then the next highest score was very confident. So that's good news that you are able to track and keep track of things in MYOB Acumatica. But yeah, so we'll go on to the next question. How do most of your customers pay today? And 71% said via bank transfer. And then the next highest score is credit card payments. So there's 14% where it said credit card payments, and then another 14% was we accept everything. And the last question for our response before I hand over to Tim to present, let's be honest, how often do customers need reminders? And most people said it's free plus reminders of all constant. Sorry, yeah. So the highest score was free plus reminders about paying their invoices, and 29% said that they're constantly chasing. So so there's a lot of chasing that you have to do to get those accounts receivables in. So that's pretty high. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand over to Tim to start presenting.
Great. Tom will share his screen just for the actual slide deck, and yeah, then we can get right into it. While we're doing that, I guess I can kind of kick off with a bit of an intro. So firstly, I just wanted to start by thanking everyone for coming. I know it's always difficult taking the time out of your day, so I really do appreciate it. And a big thanks to Adam, Shadi and Ken for putting everything together. Again, much appreciated and really enjoyed our time together over the last couple of weeks. As Adam said, I'm Tim, and today's session is all about helping you streamline the order to cash cycle inside of MYOB Acumatica with PencilPay's help. So before we start, I'm not going to do a poll, but I just want to pose a question that's kind of rhetorical. You can have a think about it. How do your payment systems currently interact with MYOB Acumatica? So are they connected? Are they disconnected? All that type of thing. So just have a think about that throughout. And I guess for Pencil as a business, our goal is to limit the time between when an order is placed and cash hits your bank account. It's a pretty simple goal, but it tends to be, difficult sometimes. So what we want to do is give you, number one, greater control over when you get paid. Number two, greater predictability of cash flow. And number three, full downstream accounting automation. And all of those three things will hopefully give you guys back the time that you're seeking. So the presentation, I'll run about 10 minutes or so. It'll just be a mixture of slides and a few demo videos. So again, if you've got any questions throughout the journey that pop into your head, just put them straight into that Q&A box as soon as they pop into your head. And yeah, I'll leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So yeah, let's get into it. Thanks, Tommy. Cool. So I'm going to start off really simple and we'll get harder. So transactions all follow a pretty similar life cycle, I think you'd agree. So, you got to create the sales order, deliver the goods, collect the payment, post the accounting entry, and reconcile and match payments. I mean, 5 steps, pretty straightforward. But when you dig in and you realize what actually happens on the ground, you've got, ordering, which is a mixture of phone calls, emails, in-store, or text messages being entered manually on the fly while you're doing 3 other things. Delivery can often be delayed because you're waiting on payments to clear or someone doesn't send through a remittance. Getting paid on time is a real game of cat and mouse with some customers. And then you're stuck doing phone calls and emails and not getting any responses. And when you do get a response, sometimes it's an excuse and sometimes it's I'll pay you in dribs and drabs. And then payments are arriving throughout the day from bank transfers or FPOS or maybe even a check or two. I don't know if anyone's still taking checks, but they were recently. And then they've got to get matched and added to MYOB. And lastly, you've got to do a line-by-line bank feed reconciliation. So as you can see, it does get a lot more complicated, as you guys well know. And that cycle just keeps repeating hundreds and if not thousands of times every week. So this is all the type of stuff that we think about the whole time. And we try and limit the amount of work that you need to do to get through that 5-step process. Thanks, Tommy. And the good thing is our platform has been built from pure feedback. So put it this way, we had a very base level product at the start, and then customer feedback over time has allowed us to build in all the different features. So if we want to kick off and start to talk about those customers or clients, I had a little look at the list of attendees, and without doing a really deep dive, there seems to be some really good fits. So typically our clients operate B2B or hybrid. They generally deal with repeat customers, and those repeat customers order pretty frequently. When it comes to payment processing and payments, it's usually a mixture of kind of bank transfers and credit card payments. However, the credit cards are often processed through external terminals or banking portals. And those two ways are just completely disconnected from MYOB Acumatica. And to top it off, you've got customer card information, customer credit card details stored everywhere and anywhere. So inside of MYOB, inside of your notes, spreadsheets, paper, anywhere. And what that does is it creates obviously a couple of security concerns, but all the administration that goes with this, it just causes double handling, and reconciliation takes forever, and it slows down cash flow. So now that we've covered off you guys, I want to talk about your customers a little bit. Thanks, Tommy. So the reason why it's really good to have a good mix of payment options is because we know that you work with large businesses and small businesses, and with larger corporations, they might have hundreds of stores and centralized accounts, and some of you work with SMEs and sole traders, and most of you actually work with both of them. The large corporations have full accounts payables teams, and your payment that you get each week or what have you will be one of 50 that they've processed through a bank transfer. But if your customers are more the mid-market, SME and sole traders, or all of the above, our solution is built for you guys. It's built and designed to make your life and your customers' life a lot easier. So more than half of SMEs say they prefer to pay all of their work bills, or as many of their work bills as possible, by credit card for 3 reasons. So it provides them cash flow flexibility with their 55 days interest-free, etc. They can make purchases all year with a bunch of different suppliers that they work with, and the rewards programs often pay for their family holiday each year. And click to pay for someone on the run from auto-filled from a browser is a lot faster than kind of logging into the bank and doing a bank transfer. So when you start to provide a bunch of different options and a bunch of different payment workflows, SMEs just end up paying you faster and paying you much more reliably.
What's the experience been once clients sort of adopt PencilPay, and sort of what are they seeing? Are they seeing a much larger uptake, and the clients that they wouldn't even think about paying via credit card as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them have a very militaristic view of it. So they say, if you want to become a customer of ours and you want terms, 7-day terms, 14-day terms, then you have to use PencilPay to onboard, and you have to give us your credit card or direct debit details, and we'll debit you at the end of 2 weeks. So there's that extreme, and then there's the other extreme, which is they turn on Pencil and turn on invoice reminders, and because they've been slack for the last couple of years in chasing, they get a whole hell of a bunch of payments straight away, and it starts to clean itself up over time. So again, it's here or there. But the one thing that is clear is that they get a significant reduction in accounts receivable. And the main thing is that average debtor days drop. So an average debtor days just lends itself to cash flow, which is, today more than ever is bloody important.
Especially with things like, payday super and all that sort of stuff. A lot of businesses are stressed about making sure that their cash flow is pretty tight nowadays,
100%, and especially considering they've released it to a bunch of new industries and all the rest of it, it's going to be, cash will just be tighter. All right, Tommy, do you want to go to the next one? Cool. So now I'm going to run you through a couple of features. Now I'm going to start with some payment features. Then I'll get into the kind of more downstream accounting automation type of stuff. So we're going to start with click to pay. So it's the most simple feature we've got, but probably the most popular. So we keep it really simple. We just add a payment link to your MYOB Acumatica sales orders or sales invoices. You send off a sales order or an invoice for full payment. Customers can either click by credit card or they can just read out the credit card details to you guys over the phone. Then you've got the option of storing the credit card for future purchases if you ask the customer and they agree. And then obviously the customer will get a receipt. It'll get emailed to them. You guys will get notified as well. And on top of that, you'll see back in MYOB Acumatica, the status of that just automatically goes to closed within, a matter of seconds. Next to that, you've got a similar type of feature, but slightly different, which is partial deposits. So I'm not going to show you the video for partial deposits. I'm just going to talk about it briefly. So you might have customers where you need a partial deposit because you are importing or manufacturing products that have a lead time, 12-week lead time, that type of thing. But you do need a deposit for security purposes. So in that case, you can set the amount of the deposit that you want. You can send off your sales order, and then the payment link activates with the correct amount of money that you want as a deposit. So if it's a 10 grand bill, you want 50%, the credit card link will come up with a $5,000 owing. And then again, that'll write back directly into MYOB Acumatica. The next one is around prepayments. And this is a huge feature for us, especially with our MYOB Acumatica customers. So no doubt there's customers where you wouldn't release the goods until the payment has been confirmed and the payment's locked away. So in that case, you can either do exactly what I showed you, send it off and then take the payment. But if you've got repeat customers that are ordering frequently, yeah, you can go, Tommy. If you've got repeat customers that are ordering frequently, you can actually store their credit card on file. So you simply can go into Pencil, plug in their credit card details that they can give to you over the phone, and then save those. Then you can have your orders placed, the payment made, and then your warehouse notified in literally under a minute. And what that does, if you're talking prepaid orders at scale, it really speeds things up. And for all the accounting heads in the room, so if you're working in accounts or if you're a CFO or something like that, any payments on a sales order will automatically be applied directly to that sales order, which means that you can actually receive full payment on these orders before ever having to convert them into an invoice. Obviously, that's going to delay the accrual of GST and the bill of materials and that type of thing until the items are paid and dispatched, and then you can turn it into an invoice.
We had a live example where we did meet with a client recently, and they were sort of saying that, they might have tradespeople that are coming in to collect things early in the morning, and then it's, a phone call to the accounts person at 7 a.m. to say, hey, can we verify that this has been paid or it's not been paid, and then taking payments and then having to, they haven't started work yet, but they're having to take the payments because the person's refusing to leave until they can take their goods, and not having that effective, a really effective payment gateway there.
Yeah, having those connected systems, they talk to each other so quickly that all you need to do is look in the system, and then you'll know if it's been paid. Thanks, Tommy. Next one. So I spoke before at the start about having more control over your cash flow. I think typically, especially when you're dealing with customers on payment terms, the customer has a bit more control in the relationship because they're the ones that owe you money. We like to try and bring it to a point where it's an even relationship, and when you're owed the money, you can get paid that money. So, but we know that when you do provide payment terms, it can be pretty hard. So, number one, we see paper credit applications a lot, and one thing, they need to be tossed because they're just super inefficient, and they don't give you enough features to be able to do exactly what I said before, which is try and take a bit more control in that relationship. Then you also need a toolkit. So a bunch of tools that you can use every day to prevent your accounts getting out of control, which I'll run you through throughout this video. Thanks, Tommy. All right, so you'll see here that this is just a bunch of my customers, and what I'm doing here, I can send my customer a link, and all they need to do to start and fill out the credit app is to enter their ABN and hit search. That'll automatically drag out their correct legal entity name out of ASIC, and then they'll be able to select whichever trading name's relevant, Next, they'll enter just their user, and then they'll select a payment term, or you guys can select it for them, as well as their credit limit and accounts people and that type of thing. Then if you want them to provide director information, you can enable that. And, you know, the director can provide a driver's license and all that type of thing. And then the next step after that is a payment method. So as I said before, when you're onboarding customers, we always recommend collect their credit card or bank details. And then that way, every time there's an invoice due, you'll be able to automatically debit that customer on the due date and keep your average debtor days down to 0. In this case, we're going to move forward with a credit card, and then we're going to do the last step, which is just to sign off and review the information that I've input. Now, this whole process from end to end, a credit application, can take anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, thereabouts. And you'll see at the bottom, the credit card details are encrypted straight away. We handle all the PCI compliance. The customer signs off and submits. From there, it's very straightforward. You guys get a notification as the supplier. You can review it. Then you can approve it or you can change it. And by changing it, what I mean is they've applied for 7 days and $4,000 of credit, but you only want to give them $3,000 of credit, for example. Then you can approve it. Now, one of the great things is the data sync functionality. So if it's a new customer, as soon as you hit the approve button, you'll see on the right-hand side, it's actually put all the data of that customer directly into MYOB Acumatica and set that customer up ready to go. Thanks, Tommy. Just you can pause on that.
Just so, before we go forward, yeah, look, we have got, if you've got any questions or queries, want to come off mute, ask the question, more than welcome to. We do have one question in the chat. So the one is, if you already have customers' credit card details, can you automatically put these into the system so payment can be automatically say at the end of the week?
Absolutely you can. So the way that you'd set that up, if you've got all their credit cards, you would just add them into Pencil in the way that we showed you at the very start. And then if there's a certain day of the week that you want to be able to invoice them, there is a way you can do that. Greg, there is a way you can do that, right?
Well, you just have the invoice date on
That's right.
If it's weekly, you want it on a Friday or a Thursday, you just set the invoice date, and then at the time that you send, whether it's 8:30 in the morning or 3:30 in the afternoon, you can Pencil will auto debit those invoices at the time that you set, and then automatically within a few seconds push the payments into MYOB Acumatica via the webhook, so it's updated.
Thank
you. I hope that answers your question, Anne-Marie. Thumbs up if all good.
Yes.
Yeah, and just Anne-Marie, just another one in there. If you have customers that either they're prepaid or they come in store, if you have the credit card saved, you can generate an invoice within 5 minutes of the invoice created. It's imported in Pencil, processed by Pencil, and then the payments pushed back to MYOB Acumatica so that you can have a very fast turnaround. Someone's ordered, 5 minutes later, you're pick, pack, and shipping goods, if that's your user case as well.
Not quite, but okay.
Oh, good. So, Tommy, why don't you hit play? Now we're going to look at automated reminders. So here we've got just a standard template for an email reminder. This guy's got a bunch of overdue invoices. He's a horrible customer. So, but he is somehow going to pay all of those invoices in one hit. You'll see here that we're going to enter a different credit card than the one that we've got stored because maybe that one is all out of money. And then we'll process the payment. Then you'll see here, while it's processing the payment, I've gone back to MYOB and all of those invoices are open, but the payment's been processed now. And if I go back in, they'll all be closed. I'm hoping they are. So the one at the bottom, 1965, is the one that I always point out. And you've got, it'll show up immediately inside here as closed, and then it'll show up in payments as well. All right, so that's automated reminders. Now, if you call up a customer and you want to collect some cash over the phone, you can select the invoice, have a look and check if they've got any other invoices that are overdue. They might want to pay a couple of extras. Then you can just simply enter their card details, then hit pay. It'll automatically do the same thing that Greg said before, process it and write it straight back to MYOB. And then lastly, I'm going to show you some payment plans. So again, same customer, we're going to go and create a payment plan, and we're going to roll all of their invoices into that payment plan. And then once that's done, we're going to be able to pick how we want to treat it. So in here, I've got a 20% deposit followed by a weekly payment of 4 further weeks. There's my breakdown each week. And then if I've got the customer on the phone, I can just plug their credit card details straight in, and it'll take the first payment and then every payment on the week thereafter. Or alternatively, I can send them an email and they can click on the link and enter the payment plan themselves.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah, and I'll add some. Sorry, Adam. I'll add some notes there. So with the payment plan feature, there's a lot of flexibility to handle your different user cases for your customers. So, for example, if they have new invoices and they struggle, you can add that to the existing payment plan. If they've had a lot more cash come in, that the next payment you can increase the payment so you can pay it off quicker. If they're struggling a little bit, you can move the next payment back a few weeks or months. You can extend the number of weeks. There's a lot of flexibility to manage how you trade with your customers. And in that case, if your customers are having issues, we often recommend put them on prepaid, put all the old invoices into a payment plan. And once all those old invoices are paid, then you can decide if you keep them on prepaid or COD, or you move them back to 7 or 14 30-day terms.
Terrific. Adam, did you have something else?
Yeah, we do have another question in the chat from Natasha. So what about clients that refuse to pay via credit cards and requires a PO before they can pay?
Yeah, so you've got the ability to be able to allow that customer to sign up on account as well. The example I showed you was forced. We forced them to do direct debit or credit card. However, there is some configuration that you can do where you can give them the ability to sign up without providing you a payment method as well.
So you still go through the credit application process, sign them up as a client, and then you adjust those terms as such.
That's right. You got it.
Yeah. You may have schools or large corporates, governments that don't have directors or don't give credit cards, and so you can toggle off directors required, personal guarantors required, or the payment method as well. So there's a lot of flexibility for a customer by customer basis, so that you can still get the information. You don't have to manually enter the data into MYOB Acumatica, and then you get a legally binding contract with that customer at the end as well.
Hope that answered the question, Natasha.
Have we got thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
I think so.
I think
Okay.
so. Tommy, if you and probably the last thing I'll cover here is you can see the heading absorb or on charge fees. So with the fees, the way that it works, you can choose to on charge the credit card fees to a customer. You can choose to absorb them yourself, or you can choose. Here we go, Natasha. However, it just left. You can absorb the fees, on charge them to a customer. You can surcharge, i.e. split them, if you might charge them 1% or something like that. And you can do that on an individual customer basis. So it doesn't need to be generic for everyone. You can, pick and choose who you want to on charge and absorb. So it's very flexible like that. And it's a super feature. People really like that. And the last one is a customer payment portal. So if you sign a customer up, they have access to a portal where they can view all of their historic invoices as well as their upcoming new invoices, and they can choose to pay them in the portal as well. So that's a nice little feature that people are starting to get the hang of as well. Tommy, next slide. Thanks, mate.
Natasha just responded. She did say, however, I don't see how it'll improve the process from what we do right now with bank transfers.
If a customer pays by bank transfer, they'll just continue to pay by bank transfer. What you'll see is, in her case, all PencilPay will do is it will just streamline the onboarding process of when a customer is filling out a credit application. Plus, you'll get the correct ABN, the correct information of the customer, the director's information, all that type of thing. So from a payments perspective, it won't speed anything up.
I don't know, maybe Natasha, I know we had been looking at some other payment gateways that's sort of been put on hold at the moment for some of your invoicing processes or some type of work that you're doing. Would that not replace some of the need what you're looking for there?
One little note. Sorry, go Natasha.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one little note. Even though you may have lots of customers who do pay by EFT and bank transfer, just by having a payment link on the quote order or invoice, you'd be surprised how many people go, oh, man, look, cool. I've got that. I'm busy. I'll just click the link, enter the card and done. And then move on to the next thing. So you will pick up a lot more payments from just the fact of having a payment link on an invoice. And then aside from that, having automated email reminders, very friendly overdue invoice reminders that itemize all the invoices. So if you've got one, they have one email with the one invoice. If you've got 10 overdue invoices, it's one email still with 10 overdue invoices and one button to click. So you will find that you will get people paying their overdue invoices a lot faster and easier.
Yeah, and I would add one other thing to that. If you are dealing with those SMEs that we spoke about before, and they've got the ability to pay for their entire statement on credit card, if they can get the points, I think you'll see a lot of those statements being paid via credit card. It tends to be the case.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Natasha.
Yeah, no, I get it. But like, I guess the problem is a lot of our customers are those PO, need a PO, need to get approvals, etc., and then pay. So yeah, but I guess I see the difference. I guess where I'd like to see your demonstration is also what happens after the payment receipting. So I'll be patient.
Absolutely.
I think this might also be because obviously, Natasha, you deal with a lot of transactions, and there has been in the past a lot around that. How is it done in MYOB? The reconciliation process in MYOB has been a bit of a bottleneck for you as well. So I think this next part,
Pencil.
Yeah.
Turning a sale. If you had the ability to turn a PO directly into a sales order, would that be helpful? Without approvals?
No, because the problem
Okay.
is a lot of our customers create a PO after they get the invoice, which is such the incorrect method, but that's what they do.
Okay.
Too easy. All right. Cool. All right. So now, as you've just seen, we do integrate pretty deeply with MYOB, especially with that two-way data push, and especially with the speed. In time, over the next 12 months or so, we're going to be making a bunch of improvements. We're going to be incrementally building more into the interface, and which will be really, really cool. We're really looking forward to that. I guess the crux of it is that the kind of two-way data push allows us to recognize payments fast, post the journal entries within a matter of seconds, and then when it comes time to reconcile, which I think is the question that you're asking, we group all of the previous day's payments, all the previous day's credit card payments. Then we settle the funds into your account in one lump sum. Whether you've got 1 or 100 invoices, you can actually close the loop by reconciling everything in a single click. So we're very into our reconciliation feature, and it's the reason why a lot of customers actually love to use us, because we save you a hell of a lot of time at the back end.
And we can, and just to jump in, Tim. And we've got demo videos and how-to guides that walk you through that process. You just have to excuse my boring narration on them.
And lastly, all the fees. So one of the questions I get asked a hell of a lot is around people having to add fees to the fees to an invoice if you're on charging fees. With Pencil, you don't have to do that, because the fees are automatically added as prior to the customer paying. And then if you guys are absorbing the costs of the credit card payments, we automatically create a bill inside of your MYOB Acumatica, and then you've obviously got the funds that are hitting your account plus the bill equal the invoice total. So that's how we marry everything up.
Yeah, that's really good actually, because that's one of the bugbears is then having to create these transactions off the bank transactions and so on, and or going and creating those bills. The great thing about Pencil is it's creating that bill in the background, which is awesome. Makes life a lot easier.
Sorry.
Yeah, and if you have Sorry, go Natasha. Yeah.
Sorry, so just to understand, if we raise an invoice, the invoice is raised through MYOB
Correct.
Yes,
or
correct.
PencilPay. Okay,
Streamline.
so MYOB, right? And then the pencil will receipt that invoice, even though the payment comes in one lump sum. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
So,
How do we close off that invoice?
So as soon as the payment, whether we process one invoice payment in the one transaction or it's a bulk 10 payments, we will push the individual amount to every one of those invoices and mark them as paid. It takes like 2 to 3 seconds. So that's marked off. And then when it comes time to reconciliation, you have your bank feed that comes in, or you might import a CSV. And then when we disperse the funds into your bank account, we push a line item that says this amount here has these 3 sale orders and these 7 invoices, so that you can go, if you want to go and check them and mark them up, or you can go into Pencil. We've got a payments report. So you can also go into our disbursements report. So we show every invoice, every quote, every order, every payment, every transaction fee, left, right, and center, so that you can be sure that everything's accounted for right. And when we integrate Pencil, we also create a Pencil clearing account. So it's a separate account that allows us to balance and match transactions, because obviously you're having, well, hopefully you're making payments every day. So there's money coming in, there's money going out, and if it's a direct debit versus a credit card we disperse the next day, whereas direct debit takes 3 business days, but we continually disperse every day. So everything's matched. You can report, you can reconcile it. You'll find it really quite joyful to have less work. It's quite difficult to reconcile an invoice for $5,000 and the transaction description says invoice, and the customer's got an invoice. The customer has an invoice for $2,000, for $1,000, for $7,000, and you're like, well, which one of those invoices do I put the $5,000 against? Whereas we remove all that hassle.
Does this work for bank transfers as well?
For
EFT.
EFT, so we don't touch the EFT side because we don't integrate with your bank feed as such. But we touch all the payments we do on your sale orders and invoices, and then we will push that and mark them as updated, and then help you reconcile. The reconciliation sounds like you have a bit of a nightmare, but you'll enjoy it.
Yep, we do bank recs every day without fail. Thanks,
And
guys.
I think also the one thing, Greg, is you're putting a reference against each of those closed.
Correct.
So that's how it references and streamlines all of that bank reconciliation as well.
Yeah, and we just make it so it's, if it's invoice 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got this money here and it says it's for invoice 1, 2, 3, 4. If you ever want to go back and check it, like, it's very easy to go and check. And even if you had 10 invoices, like, it's super simple. It's just separated by a comma, and you can go through and check it. We've built a lot of reporting and like payments reports and disbursements reports, so that the accounts teams can get in there and basically have 100% confidence that every fee, every transaction, every payment, every disbursement matches and balances.
Yeah.
So you have one less thing to worry about.
And even if you do like the statement reminders as well, payments on the, where you're sending out 10 invoices and they've gone and paid that, sometimes that can be a real pain to reconcile on the bank. If a client has just paid the statement amount instead.
The total amount, yeah. It's a guessing game.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Tommy, do you want to just click on the next one, and then that'll be our lucky last. So, getting started. So, if down the track, or if soon you wanted to get started with Pencil, it's pretty easy. So, the process, 3 steps. AlphaBiz will install the Pencil customization package and update your sales order templates and your invoice templates. In the background, we'll complete your integration and configure your account. And then we jump on a 30-minute Zoom call with you guys, and we help you do the final configuration, test your invoice templates, test your sales order templates, and then you're off to the races. And we provide as much ongoing support as needed via Zoom. We hop on Zoom calls with you, live chat, email, and phone. and we've got a enormous knowledge base which Greg and the team have been putting together for the last 5 years. So it's a ripper.
Yeah, and just on that, so I mean, obviously there is a little bit of work for us to do just to customize the forms essentially in regards to the customizer and then uploading the customization. This is a key thing why you know, a lot of these ISVs that I bring along to these unlock Acumatica sessions is they're fully invested into MYOB Acumatica and you know, also globally with Acumatica, so they're well across what's coming in the upgrades as well. Sometimes there can be some challenges where, you know, it might be a software vendor that might talk to MYOB, but they're not fully invested in the ecosystem, and you know, these upgrades can be a little bit tedious sometimes and need a lot of testing prior to those upgrade dates as well. And I just stress this because that's why I bring independent software vendors along that are fully engaged in the MYOB environment. So I just wanted to make that statement as well.
Thanks, mate. All right, guys, any questions?
I guess, I mean, there's a few that I probably just wanted to highlight as well, if you don't mind.
Yep, easy.
You know, so I guess, you know, like some people, you know, charge this, you know, only charge a surcharge for like 1%, usually on the invoice to, you know, when they're paying by a credit card.
Yep.
Like, you know, you sort of mentioned about the, you know, the on charging of fees and all that sort of stuff. It seems really, really easy with your program.
Yeah, absolutely. So just say you've got $100 invoice, and if a customer clicks on the link, for example, just say it's a, you know, 1.7% charge or something like that. There'll be the total invoice amount, and if you're on charging the whole lot, there'll be, you know, a 1.7% on top, and then there'll be a total with the credit card fields underneath. If it's split 50-50, it'll be, you know, 50% of that 1.7%. And then we would raise the bill for 50% of that amount, and then on charge the rest. And we also issue your customers, if they're being on charged, we also look after the invoice for the charges. So their bookkeeper's not having a hissy fit about these small charges that are coming off their credit card. So we look after that side as well.
Okay, and how does how quickly do the payments settle into the bank account?
So credit card payments settle the next day. So if you've had a look
next business day.
Next business day, yeah. So thank you. So yeah, if you've you know, if you've had dealings with other guys, I mean Stripe and that type of thing, they tend to hold on to it for a bit longer. We'll settle the funds the next business day, and for direct debit, it's 3 business days. So there's nothing we can do about that. That's just the old Australian rails that are holding us back. But in time we'll have a product called Pay 2, which is immediate, a bank account to bank account. Yeah.
Any questions? You can come off mute. You can put them in the chat. I guess, I mean, obviously, just one thing that we did touch on is obviously storing credit cards against there. Like, it'd be interesting if some people, you know, if anyone on the call put in the chat, are you storing credit cards at the moment for your client, you know, for clients, or how do you store those? Or, I mean, what are the common things you guys see people using to store credit card details?
I can give you
and PCI compliance as well.
I can give you a really good example of a MYOB Acumatica client that we helped out that was drowning in processing credit card payments and had the credit cards stored in weird and wonderful places. So we helped out a business about about 2 years ago, and they had about 160 of their customers' credit card details written in a book with the expiry dates and everything written down in a book. And they process about 400 payments every week, and they have to go and they plugged those credit cards into a card machine every time a customer would order. So they were taking half of their week just processing payments. So we worked with them to get those 160 credit cards into PencilPay and link them in with all the customer records inside of MYOB Acumatica. And now all they do is just take the order and hit pay, and then it's done. So that's the type of thing where people are storing it in a crazy place, and within a month, their business has changed immeasurably.
So we've got another question for Anne-Marie. So she sort of said, if you already have customer credit card details, can you automatically put these into the system so payment can automatically... Oh, was that the same question? Oh, that was 20 minutes. Sorry, same question. It just came up. It was the
answer is yes. The answer is yes, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just getting notifications coming up, and I'm like, okay, I'll try and get on top of these. Okay, cool. Any other questions or queries on the call, guys?
No, my second question was existing customers needing to get a new link sent out on their accounts.
A new
so that
link,
so they can complete their, direct debit or their credit card.
Oh,
details.
yeah, for sure. So that's actually that's super straightforward. So in your in Pencil in your screen that says customers, you've got a long list of customers. So all you do, because the information, the base level information is already in Pencil, like your email addresses and the key contact. What will happen is you click on you click on a dot on the left hand side, and then you can just click send onboarding email, and then you decide what payment terms you want to offer them, what credit limit you want to offer them, if you want to collect a payment method, and then you hit send. You can send off our template email, or you can create your own, and it'll come with your branding and all that type of thing, so it looks like it's coming directly from you guys. Customer clicks on a link and they open up a pre-populated credit application form, and then they can finish it off and add their direct debit details or credit card details to it.
That answer it?
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'll go one. Oh, sorry, go Natasha, you go first.
What's your USB compared to Stripe?
Compared to Stripe, a lot. So Stripe excel in B2C. So they excel in online payments, and they excel in direct business to consumer payments. PencilPay focuses heavily on B2B payments, which means that you do need to have a lot more flexibility with the features that you offer. We need to focus on things like building out a large suite of collections features, but we also need to focus on the front end around building the credit application form to collect a billing method to be able to keep your cash flow healthy. So there's a broad range of items that we build, like quotes, taking a 50% deposit at quote stage, taking a sales order payment over the phone. All of these are very, very wholesale-y, manufacturing type of payment styles, and that's what we build for. We don't build for e-commerce, we build for that. That's kind of the core differences.
And I'll add another kind of a key differentiator. So you can think about Stripe, PayPal, basically every payment provider, we call them buyer-led payments. And what that means is you send your customer an email with an invoice with a payment link, or an overdue invoice reminder with a payment link. The buyer is completely at their discretion at when, if, how, if they even feel like actually paying you. And so the onus is on the buyer, so your customer, to decide if and when they pay you. Whereas with Pencil, because during the onboarding of the customer, we've got the ABN, we've got all the legally identifiable information, and we have a credit card or direct debit, and inside the contract of that the customer's signing, it gives you the right and the permission to be able to process the payment on the due date or at a time that you see fit. And so some people will give their customers the ability to pay by EFT. They might give them 3 or 4 days. And so in the Pencil settings, they set it at 3 or 4 business days after the invoice is due that Pencil will auto charge. So if it's been paid and reconciled before those 3 or 4 days after the invoice date, then Pencil won't do anything. And so just think about buyer-led payments versus supplier-led. You control when you get paid versus your customer deciding if and when they pay you. And that's a kind of a key thing. And then say Stripe doesn't allow you to on-charge, absorb or split fees. Stripe has a challenging reconciliation process. Stripe holds the funds for 3 or 4 days often. So if you're worried about cash flow next business day, this is next business day for Visa, MasterCard and Amex. Many providers, Amex does take a little bit longer as well, but we want to get that cash in your bank as fast as possible. So there's some of the key differentiators. And reconciliation, if you hate or love reconciliations, we'll remove that burden.
And you've always got someone to talk to who's local here. If you want to pick up the phone or jump on a Zoom, we're available. Vastly different to a large multinational.
And live chat support, exactly. We're unlimited support, so we're available to solve any problems you have.
Does that help, Natasha?
Yep, it does. And
Excellent.
I'll also buy
Yeah.
someone a drink if anybody says they love reconciliation.
Only,
You've got
only if they use pencil. Terrific.
Good question, Natasha. The other one I was just going to ask, let's say, I mean, this is something that I haven't covered off with you guys in my questioning before, but what about changing credit terms for clients and resending credit terms? Is that an easy process through Pencil?
Yeah, a client can log into their account and then they can request a new credit term. So they can request a new credit limit or they can request a new payment term. We don't often see that, so the feature's there. But what ends up happening, a lot of people like to onboard a customer at the start on prepaid, and they get their credit card and stuff, and they say after 4 or 5 orders, we'll shift you to terms. The reality is 95% of those people just stay on prepaid for the life of the deal. And it works out really well for the supplier. So the feature's there, but it's just not used that much.
And you'll actually find it's, some people don't believe it in the beginning, but if you've got a lot of payments coming out every day or week, if you're a customer and you need to pay all these invoices, the time it takes to go log in and log into your bank, do your little one-time password, go find the customer, get the amount, put the reference and punch that in. Whereas just either being auto-charged, and for every payment that we process, we send an email to yourself and to your customer, itemized with the date, time, the invoice number, the amounts, any fees, the description that's going to show on your customer's credit card statement so they don't do chargebacks. So it's one of the ways we reduce chargebacks is they can clearly see, customer name and the invoice number, so they know who it's from. So we save a lot of problems there.
And what about if you decide, okay, we've looked at a range of our clients and we've picked half of our clients that we see should go from 30 to 14 days. Can you just select those and push those terms back out to clients?
That's a conversation between you and the client, but yes, you can. The short answer is it's possible. It's possible on the technology. Much harder conversation to have with the client to say, "Sorry, buddy, I'm kicking you off 30 days, and you're going back down to 14."
So you've got full flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
What about obviously looking at payment histories and stuff like that from clients? I'm assuming there's some reports that you can generate and say, okay, well, look, this cohort of clients are actually, they're sort of overdue all the time. So, give you some sort of dashboards or stuff around those sort of things.
Yeah. So we have a pencil score. So each day we analyze your customers' invoices. We see what's overdue and what's not paid. And then we give you a little pie chart that shows this customer pays, 50% on time, 20% within 7 days, which, one would argue if a customer pays within 7 days, that's almost on time, considering the industry standard is, almost a month. And then you see a full breakdown of that. We also give a little score. So one of the, I don't know if you call it a challenge, one of the limitations of many credit scoring algorithms is that it's done every month or every quarter, whereas we do it every day. So you can actually see if your customer's pencil score starts going down, that there's some payment issues. And so if they're on 30 days, for example, you might bring them down to 14, 7, or even prepaid just to get them back in line. So there's a lot of tools there just to help you in the day-to-day, how you deal with your customers, which ones you should get onto an automated payment and reduce their terms down as well.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, look, we're 3 minutes over time. I thought the way Tim flies through his stuff, I thought we were going to be closer to finishing a little bit earlier. But
I told you Q&A, mate. I told you Q&A always kicks off with us.
That's great. I love it. And look, thank you everyone for asking questions, coming off mute today. It's been really good. So we've got someone wanted to ask a question at all? No, I guess also just obviously thanks for your time. Thanks to everyone asking questions. It makes it more interactive, a lot more fun to run these sessions. So please bear that in mind for future. We will plan out for our next Unlock Acumatica session in March. We're already in March. Can't believe it. So we'll plan out for that session there. But what we also are looking at doing here at AlphaBiz over the next in March as well is we're looking at hosting a couple of different sessions as well, and these are going to be limited seats for our clients to come, just purely because we want to see how they sort of phase out over the next couple of months. But we will be in March hosting a training session for people that are new to Acumatica or want a refresher to Acumatica. We're going to focus a lot on the finance, banking, the accounts receivable, accounts payable, and then we may throw in, depending on the cohort of clients that want to come along to those events, whether it be an inventory or more around payroll side of things. And that'll be a full day session. There will be a fee attached to that, because obviously it's a full day with a consultant in our office running through MYOB Acumatica. So there will be a fee, plus we'll also put on, we obviously have to feed them, so we'll feed them as well. So that those sessions, we're just planning out what dates are going to look good for those, but that will be happening in March as well. And then we also, Shadi and I are going to look at hosting a sort of executive C-level sort of lunch as well, where we bring some of the, just to hear what's going on in the market. I think there's a lot of challenges that we're all faced with things like payday super, the financial, the economics of the market as well. Some clients I'm hearing they're still booming and still going great guns, which is fantastic to hear. And then some other clients are sharing that sales are down, cash flow is king, and they're looking at ways of improving that. So Shadi and I are going to host a lunch where we bring some of those influencers that we know in the industry to really just sort of get a bit of a gauge of what's happening and help future-proof businesses. So yeah.
Sounds awesome. And guys, I'll just chime in. Thank you so much for all your attendance. I can see basically everyone has stayed till the end of that. That's amazing. Adam, Shadi, Ken, thanks so much for putting it on. I really enjoyed that, and I know Greg did as well. So fantastic. And guys, I'll pass on my details. Adam's already got all my details. If you want to book a time whenever with me, please feel free. And hopefully I'll chat to some of you soon.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Adam.
guys.
Thanks, Shadi.
Cheers.
Thanks, team.
Bye.
Cheers.